So I'm delighted to welcome today Ingrid van Oostrom, who is based in Scotland but from Holland, and you are a horticulturist, a yoga teacher, and something else. I can't remember what the something else is.
And a life coach is the something else.
Right, brilliant, brilliant. So triple whammy. So Ingrid, welcome to the podcast, and your organisation with your horticultural side of things is extremely interesting. So tell us what it's called, why you're doing it, how you came to be so involved with horticulture.
Right, okay, that's quite a lot. So I've called my business Petals and Om. Petals standing obviously for flower petals, and Om for the mantra of Om that ties in with yoga. Horticulture, I used to be a customer service representative in IT, and I was made redundant, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but I knew I didn't want to sit behind a desk all day, the whole of my life. So I did quite a few things, and one of them was doing my yoga teacher training. I had no intention of becoming a teacher, but during that training, we also did quite a lot of gardening or karma yoga. And I just loved being with the plants and having my fingers in the soil and just being in nature. And after my training, I chose to study herbology at the Royal Botanics in Edinburgh, which then led me to do an internship at a garden up north at Attendale, which was amazing. And there I rolled into Thrieve. So Thrieve is the School of Heritage Gardening. And that's where I got my qualifications. And that led me to my job at Culzean Castle in Country Park as their propagator and glasshouse specialist. And then in 2022, I decided I wanted to do my own thing. I really enjoyed being with plants and designing borders and, helping people create their gardens to be a place to retreat to. A lot of people see their garden as just an outside space, but it should be so much more for health and well-being.
Wonderful. So what actually is the business? How do you what kind of services do you offer?
So I've got the three things. So I've got yoga, which is, I'm a yoga teacher. So I offer group classes, but also private and bespoke classes in person and online. I also host yoga retreats. Then I've got my life coaching, helping people to get unstuck from where they are. And, it's life coaching for a reason. It doesn't matter where in life you feel stuck. I'm there to help people get clarity and focus and reset themselves where they want to go and where they want to be in life. I'm not someone who gives advice. I'm someone who asks tough questions to get that clarity for the person. And then there's the horticulture side. So I am a gardener. I help people within their gardens, especially when it's specialist pruning of plants, when it's sowing or growing or weeding. I'm not so much of a mower. I have to say, I'm more those little specialized jobs, and I'm also doing consultancy. So if someone wants to create a border with specific colors, I look at their climate, where they are based, and select plants for them that would work in their garden. So often we buy plants and put them in soil and expect them to grow, and that's just not how it works, I'm afraid.
I'm feeling very proud of myself because I've never grown a thing pretty much in my life, and I've recently decided to stay where I am. I was going to be moving, and I decided to stay where I am, re-engage with the house and the garden. So I've changed everything around. I've hand weeded the garden, and the weeds were higher than me. Well, not higher than me, they were up to my waist. They were really, there are lots of weeds. So I've hand weeded, I've put down ground coverage, and I've shoveled 3.5 tons of white stone, because where I am here in Portugal, it's impossible to grow things. It's all rocky. Yeah. It's either rocky or weeds. there's not a lot in between. Something if you've got farmer's land with big diggers and things, you make it work, but not in a domestic garden. And so I've got lots of pots now, and I'm growing all kinds of things, and I can't believe it. I've already started harvesting some of the crops, and I only planted them a few weeks ago. I can't believe how easy it is. It's incredible.
Yeah, plants are magical and they're so healing. I'm not sure how you feel like when you've grown your own food and then eat it. It's so satisfying.
Absolutely, it is. And I talk to my plants every day. I water them and I talk to them. And I've got my lettuces near my roses and my herbs near my bird of paradise plant, and they're thriving, absolutely thriving. Everything's mixed in with the flower beds.
Brilliant. Yeah, companion planting. That's great.
Yeah, I've just made a guess. I haven't looked at anything. I've just intuitively thought, oh, well, that can go there and that can go there. And I've been lucky. Then in the back garden, I've got lots of different pots, and things are now starting to sprout up. So that's all jolly good. So do people kind of get the idea of the outside room? So like you say, sometimes it's just a space that people just use as a storage. A lot of people have a garden shed and they'll shovel all their rubbish in there, but I think people are becoming more aware now of the fact that it's almost like an extra room, isn't it? If you design it carefully, properly, you can have an extra room with a feeling, a vibe to it.
Absolutely. I really see gardens are extensions of ourselves. That's how I see gardens. That's how I see plants. When we're out in nature, it's so healing. And it's no wonder, because we're natural beings. So being out in nature should have that effect. And I'm a true believer of anyone with an outside space has that capacity. And no matter how big or how small, you can grow plants that, when you step outside in a nice space, outdoor space, and you're surrounded by plants, you have that feeling. That's what it should be for everyone in their garden, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's lots of things to think about. If you have kids, it might not be that easy, but there's lots of things you can play with. You can play with where to place pots, or if you want a greenhouse, or if you want to raise beds and engage your children to help grow their food. It's very, very important, I think, for that health and well-being, because we've lost that connection. We've lost connection of understanding that we are natural beings and how nature affects us. And I'm really wanting people to get back to that.
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Satisfying to hear you speak like that, and so enthusiastic as well. Fantastic. How did you get apart from the obvious travel arrangements, but what took you from Holland to Scotland?
Right. So when I was 18, I traveled through Australia. And I met a Scotsman on a diving boat, and he was a pensioner, and he was diving and skydiving and loving life. And he invited us over, a group of us, to come sailing in Scotland. So I went over, I think 2 years after, and I just fell in love. I fell in love with nature. The Netherlands is really flat. It's flat as a pancake. So Scotland is really, really great. The people are lovely. And I think it was 5 years later, I could get a job. I could get a job in Scotland, and I packed my bags and went. Yeah.
Brilliant. And whereabouts are you in Scotland?
I'm now in Glenrothes, or Leslie, which is in Fife, just above Edinburgh.
Right. Marvellous, marvellous. So what advice would you give to somebody who wants to start from scratch? They've got a blank piece of paper, a blank garden. What do they do? Where do they start?
I'm a big believer of growing something that you enjoy eating, or that you enjoy smelling or looking at. Senses are so important. So, if you're outside, look at the plants. What's there that you really like the look of? What kind of food do you really like to eat? And then you have to look if you can grow it in the environment you're in. So does the plant grow in a cold area? Does the plant need humidity? Does the plant grow in light or in shade? Or maybe it's fine in both. It's really important to give plants the needs that they have. They're basically pets, but they're stuck with their roots where they are. But they have needs. Plants have needs. So look at what you enjoy. What kind of colors do you like? What kind of forms do you like? And does it suit you? Can you take care of it? Do you have the time? Are plants high maintenance or low maintenance?
Are there any tips that you can give me? Because I'm about to go to on a trip. I've got somebody coming to stay in my house, but not every day. And I've got all these lovely things that I'm growing now. They're all vegetables and salads. Is there anything that I can do? You know, some slow feeding. I don't have a watering system. I didn't realize I was going to be traveling. It's all happened quite quickly. So are there any quick tips that I could use to try and keep them alive while I'm away?
Yeah, if you have pots, as you say you have, it's very useful to have like a big saucer underneath them. So when you water them, any excess drips out, but when the plant gets a bit drier and needs more moisture, it will suck it up as well again. So that's really easy to do. The best way, I think, if you have someone coming in, ask them to feel the weight of a pot, because the weight of a pot will tell you if there is water in there or not. So when it's light and it's easy to pick up, it's dry. And then does the vegetable need to be damp in damp compost, or does it need to be dry? Most likely, most vegetables like a bit of dampness, like a bit of, that moist soil. So, and then it's just a matter of watering. And if you have that saucer underneath, it will soak up and it will, how would you say, capture any excess if there is too much water in there.
Brilliant. I've seen some people with plastic bottles, upturned plastic bottles and some sort of drip arrangement. I don't know how that works.
Yeah, so you place, I think, a pot on an elevated platform, and then you have strings going into the plants, or indeed an upturned plastic bottle with the bottom cut off, and you fill it up with water. So what that does, yes, it will go into the soil, but does your plant need it?
Yeah,
often they don't. Or, if you have succulents, they can be dry for so long. We don't have to water them once a week or twice a week or every 2 weeks. It's such a myth for plants to say they need water once a week. That's not how plants work. So for some plants and some areas, that might be really helpful. But for me, as a horticulturalist, I would stay away from those kind of hacks.
Good advice. So Ingrid, how do people get hold of you? What's your website?
My website is Petals and Aum. It's AUM.com. And there is lots of information there about yoga, about gardening, about life coaching, and the services I offer as well. There's also a contact page and about me page where you can just send me a quick message.
Brilliant. So petalsandom.co.uk.
.com is this.
Oh, sorry, .com. Sorry. So petalsandom.com, and the bit is AUM.
It is, yes.
Marvellous. Thank you so much for spending time with us today, Ingrid, and happy sunshine and gardening and yogaing.
Yeah, thank you so much, Elaine, and a happy holiday soon.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.